Okay. I know what some of you are thinking. Avatar is the perfect series. How on earth are you going to make it any better than it already is? And yes, Avatar is a near perfect series, but I'd be lying if I didn't think that the first season could have used some tweaking just to make the series stronger overall. I think a lot of people can agree that the series really started to get its stride in season 2, especially after the introduction of Toph Beifong in The Blind Bandit. But with Netflix now finalizing the casting for the live-action series, it's clear that they're trying to right the wrongs of the past and do this amazing series justice. Despite Mike and Brian leaving the project, which does have me and many others still having some second thoughts. Now, I don't know how close to the source material they're going to keep the live-action series, but if it was a one-to-one remake, here are 5 things that I would do to improve Book 1 of Avatar the Last Airbender. Number 1, give the Great Divide more purpose. Let's get this one out of the way. The Great Divide is by no means the worst thing to ever grace my television screen, but it is the main episode people point to when talking about the worst episode of Avatar. With how sophisticated the series got in literally the next 2 episodes, an episode dedicated to a he said, she said storyline just didn't really live up to the standard that we hold Avatar to. The Great Divide as a location is actually really cool, and could have served as a great location for a large battle later in the series, especially considering that it's a path that some take towards Ba Sing Se. Also, because Aang made up the story that eventually resolved the conflict with the Zhang and the Ganjin tribes, ultimately this episode did nothing to build the world. A different take could have been if Aang actually knew the 2 brothers, and the story of where their 2 tribes ended up could have added to Aang's struggle with the guilt he felt over his 100-year disappearance, thus adding to the overall lore and making the perfect thematic segue into the next episode, The Storm. Number 2, add 1 more episode in the North. Book 1's finale was a great way to cap off the first act of the series. It housed the largest battle up until that point and showed some great payoffs that built up over the series, like the Spirit World connections, Katara's waterbending mastery, and the Blue Spirit. In this technically 3-part finale beginning in episode 18, The Waterbending Master, there seems to be an episode missing right before the Siege of the North. It was made clear that there was a time skip. However, I think seeing what actually happened within that time would have made some of the other payoffs in the finale feel much more earned. 3 things I think this supposed missing episode could have had are Aang and Katara's training with Pakku, Sokka and Yue's budding relationship, and a deeper dive into the lore of waterbending. Earthbending had the story of Oma and Shu, and Firebending had the Firebending Masters episode. So I felt like waterbending, and airbending to an extent, got the short end of the stick. Number 3, more White Lotus foreshadowing. Okay, so I definitely wouldn't want the White Lotus itself to be revealed in Book 1, as their eventual reveal in the finale was pretty freaking great. I can only imagine how much theorizing could have taken place if there were more breadcrumbs hidden in the background to subtly hint at who would be a member of this secret organization. We meet 4 of the 5 main White Lotus members in Book 1, with the only exception being Master Piandao. But I understand that theorizing back in the day was definitely not as crazy as it is now in the era of YouTube. I'd like to point to Steven Universe on some ideas of how members could have subtly been foreshadowed. Spoiler warning, but in Steven Universe, a diamond symbol can be seen in the background at multiple points, foreshadowing the reveal of the Great Diamond Authority. So just imagine that with a White Lotus symbol. Another thing Avatar could have done is include some seemingly throwaway lines that have much more significance upon second viewing. Like in Steven Universe when Garnet says, "We kept Amethyst." The only real reference in Book 1 is Iroh's bond with the lost White Lotus tile, but more things like that could have been really cool Easter eggs upon rewatches. Number 4, expand the missing necklace arc. When Katara lost her necklace in episode 6, The Imprisoned, this began what I personally call the missing necklace arc. This arc was touched upon again in episode 9, The Waterbending Scroll, and resolved in Bato of the Water Tribe, when Aang got it back from Zuko. After seeing how they handled Appa's lost days in season 2, I couldn't help but think that the missing necklace arc could have been much more utilized. For one, I feel like we never got to see Katara sitting with how she felt about losing her most prized possession. This feeling could have been a catalyst to fuel the Katara-Zuko rivalry that was building up over the rest of the series. This especially would have made their eventual duel in the Book 1 finale have much more meaning behind it. I also think this would have been a great opportunity for Katara to express why she was so close to her mother, and emphasizing why the necklace specifically means so much to her. Both of which I feel like could have been explored a lot more throughout the series. Number 5, more June. Okay, I know this is starting to stretch it a bit, but hey, that's how good Avatar is, you know? Anyways, piggybacking off the necklace arc, expanding that arc could have also allowed for June to make more appearances overall. As a quick reminder, June is the bounty hunter that Zuko hires to help find Aang through the use of her Surshu, Nyla. In Bato of the Water Tribe, Nyla smelled Katara's necklace and was able to track down Team Avatar with relative ease. To my knowledge, June turned out to be one of the most popular side characters at the time, and they were able to utilize her again in the Sozin Comet finale. Despite no possible way of them being able to predict June's popularity, I think allowing her to be a tertiary villain in Book 1 after Zuko and Zhao could have been an interesting dynamic to see. A true, chaotic neutral in the mix. June also would have provided a bit more female warrior representation in Book 1, as that was entirely on Katara. And Suki for an episode. And I guess Smellerbee. But this is before Book 2 where Toph, Azula, Mai, and Ty Lee made their appearances. Avatar the Last Airbender is my absolute favorite cartoon series ever, and nothing up until this day has topped it. However, when trying to recommend this series to new fans, I always find myself explaining that Book 1 started off really slow, and the series gets exponentially better in Books 2 and 3. I understand though that Book 1 definitely needed to do a lot of the heavy lifting in regards to establishing the principal cast, the world, and the lore. And on that front, it definitely accomplishes what it sets out to do, and seamlessly sets the stage for the amazingness that awaits in the rest of the series.